Peace, y'all. Greetings. This is Empress Rena Nicole with the AM Inspiration Show to wake that ass up. It is Tuesday, September the 20th, 2022. We are on the cusp of the autumn equinox. Yes, we are. We are about to change season up in this bee, with some Mercury retrograde going on. And today the topic is the 3 W's of keeping your relationship sacred. With that being said, tune in for another 120, and we're going to get right into it. Peace. All right, peace, y'all. This is Empress Rena Nicole. As I said, we are streaming live from Clubhouse, Spotify, Anchor, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Spooncast. Yes, we are doing it big and we're doing it right today. So I just want to welcome everyone that's on every platform that's tuning in. Invite you to share the spaces. Click the links to join us. Go in the chats. Click the link to join the StreamYard stream as well. If you want to share, come raise your hand on Clubhouse. If you want to come to the stage, hit the phone icon on Spoon if you want to come up and speak and share your piece on the 3 W's of keeping your relationship sacred. Nowadays, sacredity, it really doesn't exist anymore because everyone wants to be seen and everyone wants to be heard, but no one wants to have that sacredness, wants to have that place where it's just about having that foundation and building up from a foundation. People want to speak on how to build, where to build, what to build, instead of actually building and keeping things sacred. So with that being said, let's hop right into it, okay? Now, it's extremely important to be careful of telling your relationship issues to other people. Most people don't care. Some use it as a tool to possibly step in and attempt to maybe manipulate your mate, whether it's against you or gravitate them towards them. And other people just want you to break up out of sheer bitterness for something that happened to them in the past. And even another reason can be they just can't deal with the fact that you have something that's sustainable and you have a relationship. Okay? So they'll find issues where they don't exist. And because you open up the door to your relationship with them, it'll create a space in your relationship where you are now questioning whether it's something that's right for you or something that's healthy for you. Okay? Other factors may include other people lacking the necessary knowledge, experiences, or particular level of healing to offer any solid advice. Okay, a lot of people are walking around here and they're reading memes and they're going through people's pages and they're looking for ideas and they're becoming these overnight philosophers, and they don't have the substance, they don't have the range to actually give advice to other people, yet they constantly do it. Okay, to the other people's demise. But like you said before, You can't, I mean, you could lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So when someone decides to drink the water, it's because they made a choice to do so. So no one can force someone to drink the water, okay? Now that we got that cleared up. Now, other times, people on the outside of your relationship can and will exaggerate what things really mean, causing drama between you and your mate. It definitely will cause drama between you and your mate because they are not in the relationship. Now, we're going to get a little bit deeper into that as well, because a lot of the times people don't use family and much needed support systems until it's already too late or when they need help. So we're going to get into that a little bit later, okay? Now, when and if you seek, guidance in a relationship, you should go to a licensed professional, a coach, certified coach, an elder in community if you're spiritual or religious, maybe a pastor or someone that you trust, someone that's outside of your relationship. If you really trust your parents and they always give you solid advice, or the people that raised you, then that's okay to go to them for some things, okay? But it's always the best option is to go to someone you don't know that makes any sense at all, or someone you trust, like your therapist, but you know what? Your therapist is really going to tell you everything, that's going to be a benefit for you. So it might not be a benefit for your relationship, but it will benefit you. So you have to keep that in mind as well as your coaches as well, and things like that. So, now let's talk about these 3 W's. I created these 3 W's back in, let me look at the date. 2019, I created the 3 W's to keep your relationship sacred, okay? So the first W is what? WHAT. The importance on what is what you share. Is what you're sharing going to elevate your relationship in any way? Now, since you want to share with somebody, you have to keep in mind, is this going to elevate my relationship? Is this, is the thing that I'm sharing, is the reason why I'm sharing it is because it's going to take me to the next level? Is it going to bring me to a place of healing? Is it going to bring me to a place of understanding or receiving my partner better? If not, don't share it. Okay? Unless you're sharing for other reasons, like abuse or different things like that, then share as you may. Okay? But we're talking about relationships that are genuinely healthy when you're stepping outside to share your relationship. So the first W is what? Be mindful on what you're sharing. Ask yourself the question, is what I'm sharing going to elevate this relationship in any type of way? Okay? The next W is why. That's WHY. Why you're sharing it, okay? Does the need to share this information have a purpose of bettering or simply just your frustration? Try going to your partner with your frustrations first, because this is how you keep your relationship sacred. If you're just frustrated and you need to vent, that is very dangerous for you to always step outside of your relationship and not use effective communication and voice what's going on. Okay? So, when you ask yourself the question, does the need to share this information has a purpose of bettering my relationship? Or is it just my frustration? You have to sit down and reevaluate why you want to share it. Because you can actually destroy a relationship you have with someone by oversharing the intimate details of your private life. Okay? And that's so important to keep that sacred between you, because that's a part of the trust. That's a part of the respect. That's a part of your core values. That's how you build things for the future. That's how, you bring that security to the relationship. Okay? Because it's nobody's job to make you secure in yourself, but it is each partner's job to equally bring that security to the relationship. So each partner feels secure in a relationship. When you're stepping outside of a relationship to constantly vent frustrations to people, then you are stepping outside of the boundaries of trust within your relationship. And I get it. A lot of women think, oh, I got to tell my girls or whatever, and just look at the history of their relationships, or the guys that have to tell their guys and they're not really getting sound advice and they're coming back with just BS that doesn't work, or making their partners feel uncomfortable by oversharing with their friends. Look at the results that they get as well. It's important to learn effective communication. It's important to learn it with your partner, how they communicate, so you can communicate to them when you're feeling the need to share instead of airing your grievances to people that are not in your relationship. Okay, we set aside your pastor, we set aside for therapy therapists and things like that. That stuff is set aside already. Okay, we're talking about friends and people that don't need to know your business unless you're in a place of danger or concern. Okay, now the next one is who. Definitely WHO is the who. Okay, who you're sharing it with. I said it 3 times already. It matters who. Can you trust this person? These are the questions you're going to ask yourself. Can I trust this person? Do they have a track record of being neutral or one of being surprisingly pessimistic? Be mindful in who you share things with, because if you're sharing with someone that you are open to receive from and they're always pessimistic, just imagine you being vulnerable with them and you bringing that back to your relationship. Now you're bringing back their pessimism. Now you're bringing back their trauma. Now you're bringing back their hurt into a space that didn't have that garbage in it. Okay? So you have to be mindful and pay attention to the track record of your quote unquote friends or family that you trust when it comes to sharing the intimate details of your existence, of your relationship, excuse me. That's still a part of your existence, but I didn't mean to say that. You have to be extremely mindful, because if you're not, like I said before, these things break up marriages. These things break up engagement. These things break up relationships because people do not have any sacredness. They don't hold on to relationships in a sacred manner anymore. They want to overshare. They want to prove that they have a great partner. They want to put their partner on pedestals in public, and when it falls apart, then is no more. They have nothing else to say, but they want to go to friends and get advice, and they want to go to the dog down the street and get advice, and then their cousins and everyone else, but instead of just talking to their partner. Okay, effective communication is extremely important when it comes to keeping relationships sacred. If you cannot communicate with your partner, you don't have a relationship. It's really that simple. I don't care if y'all want to call it toxic. I don't care if you've been together for 10 years. If you don't have effective communication, do you really have a relationship? Do you? Because someone is dictating to somebody, and that's why it's toxic and you're still together. It's chaotic, it's dysfunctional. But if that's what you want to call a relationship, then do you, boo boo. But in hindsight, it's not anything sustainable. It's not anything that can guarantee a future. Okay? And you have to keep that in mind. Now, let's talk about sacredness in relationships and how sacredness is a felt experience. It's knowing deep within, a part of knowing who you really are. Okay? Let's talk about that aspect of sacredness in relationships. Okay? I had to drink some water, excuse me. So when we become ready for sacred relationships at a very particular time in our existence, okay? When we awaken to the sacredness within ourselves. And a lot of the times people, they cannot value a divine relationship with anyone because they don't, value the divine relationship that they have with it, with themselves. Does that make any sense to you? I hope so. So when you realize that you're not just a physical body, that you are the essence of love and divinity and truth, and have a deep desire to know yourself as that, and you experience love within your relationships, it all projects out of you and it manifests to you. So the desire for a sacred relationship is birthed. Okay, it's definitely birthed out of the sheer magnitude of who you are, the essence of your being. So if you're always dysfunctional and toxic or unhealed and just full of whatever, then you're going to attract that to you. And sometimes even when you're healed, sometimes you attract the people to you because they see the healness in you and they want to be a part of that. So make no mistake that it's two sides to every coin. Okay, period. So let's go over the 4 truths of what sacred relationships are. Okay, so sacredness is not a concept. You know, it has very little to do with the analytical mind. In fact, when the mind tries to understand sacredness, or quote unquote, God, the universe, the infinite, is likely to blow a gasket. Okay, that's because our minds operate in duality, from the perception of separation. Sacredness still exists beyond separation, beyond the mind, and beyond rational thinking. Okay, sacredness is a felt experience. It's knowing deep within who you really are. And we talk about that a lot, about our coreness, our core energy, our core values, who we are, getting to know ourselves, loving ourselves from the internal so the external can flourish as well. Okay? So a lot of concepts are related to sacred relationships. And keep in mind, they're just concepts, okay? So our mind loves to categorize and define good, divine, spiritual. It loves to break everything down. So that's duality in action. It's saying like this is good or this is bad, and that's how some people just operate. It's good or bad, or other people like myself, like it's black or white. But like having that space, or creating a space and giving yourself grace for that space of neutrality in the middle where sacredness can exist. Does that make any sense? Okay. So if a sacred relationship is anything, it's everything. It doesn't look a certain way. That's why we talk about going outside of your relationship can be very dangerous, because keeping that sacredicity within your relationship is not going to look the way it looks to other people. They're not in love with your partner the way you're in love with them. They don't experience your partner the way you experience them. So when you speak on your relationship to other people, and if it has a derogatory tone to it, it can rub people the wrong way and trigger their trauma, and they can give you stuff that doesn't belong in that space where it wasn't all dirty. Now it's corrupted because you allowed people in the space that was sacred, and now it's all murky and muddy. Okay, so it looks like what's showing up in front of you right now, and it doesn't get more sacred than that. It's basically a big what's the word I'm looking for, a conundrum of it is what it is. Okay, period. Now, nothing will take the sacredness out of a relationship faster than definitions and concepts. I'm trying to tell you this. I promise you this. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with labels, because people want to know, they want to define relationships. That's fine. But nothing takes sacredness out of a relationship faster than you constantly telling someone, oh, hey, you're this way, or hey, you're negative, or hey, you're depressed, or hey, you're lonely, or hey, you're bitter, or hey, you're masculine, or hey, you're feminine, or hey, you're beta, or hey, you're alpha. And all these concepts of good and bad destroys relationships, and other people on the outside can't wait to define your relationship with someone else. They can't wait. It's like they had nothing else better to do, because guess what, they're going to use all the energy they don't use on themselves, to heal themselves, to address themselves, to be accountable for themselves. They're going to spill it out onto you. They're going to project onto you. So be very mindful of what, why, and who, the 3 W's of keeping your relationship sacred. I'm trying to tell you, if you're not experiencing sacredness, connection, or fulfillment in your existence, the place to look is not another person. I promise you. It's to look into yourself, because if you're always on the outside seeking validation for the person that you're with, you shouldn't be with them. You shouldn't be with them until you figure out who the fuck you are. Excuse my language. Until you figure out who the heck you are. You shouldn't be with them, because you're doing yourself a disservice. You're doing yourself a disservice. You cannot participate in a relationship in full capacity, and knowing who you are and knowing what you bring to a relationship and growing within that relationship, and stop being afraid to communicate, to use actions, to fulfill, to manifest, to grow together, then you have no business being with someone else, because you're not going to bring them that elevation. You're not going to bring them to elevation. You're not going to express yourself in healthy ways. You're not going to be vulnerable enough. You're not going to trust enough, and you won't respect yourself enough to stand up for yourself. And this is why I say, if you're not experiencing sacredness, connectivity, or fulfillment in your existence, the place to look is not in another person, it's within yourself. Okay? Period. So, sacred relationships are not always what you desire. It's just not. That's not how it works. Okay? So, a lot of people confuse spiritual or sacred with exactly what I want. I remember being one of those people, oh, I want a spiritual partner, and I want a sacred partner. And okay, so of course we want relationships to be exactly what we desire. And I just had that conversation talking to the one saying, you know what? I never have my way with you. And they're like, what are you talking about? Like I want to have my way. I want to experience knowing that you not even gave in, but you understood where I was coming from. And you used the tools that I was giving you, or me expressing myself in a way that helped you, making me feel more secure in a relationship with you. The same way I use the tools that I know that you need me to use to make you feel secure in a relationship with me. I need the same thing in return. And to me, that's sacred. That's something that's untouched by other people. That's something that has nothing to do with anyone else. That's something that is what it is. That's something that's there. That's something that can't be disturbed. That's something that can't be picked apart by anyone else. Okay? So, woo. Um, Sacredness is the experience of no division, no resistance to what it is. It's no tension, and it's just being fully receiving people as they are, fully receiving, the experience of this being, of yourself as well. This is why a lot of people say your body is a temple and different things of that nature. They're talking about sacred divinity. They're talking about divine love. They're talking about, those different levels of consciousness where you are pouring into yourself in a way that is unbothered and unfuckwittable. Period. Period. Is that simple, okay? So the peace that surpasses all understandings appears when we stop resisting against what is. In the sacred relationships, being with what is something you get to practice a lot. And it's not easy, okay? Because it requires work. All relationships require work. Here, at Sustainable Relationships, on Clubhouse, that's the name of our club, Divine Intervention Show. We talk all about sustainability in every area of your existence, okay? And it's so important to know that relationships to take work, okay? Because without certain tools, without putting in that effort, without gaining the knowledge, the practice, and the perseverance, you don't have a relationship. You just don't. And it's okay to be delusional and tell yourself that you do. That's fine. But when you really look back on your existence, years from now, you're like, damn, I really didn't have a relationship with them. That wasn't anything healthy. That's not nothing that I would want to share or pass down, to my lineage to, like talk about, what my generation to be proud of, the ones that's coming behind me, or anything of that manner. It's not nothing that was righteous. It's not nothing that liberated me. I didn't liberate anyone else in that space as well. Being accountable and putting that work in will take you to a place of being open, vulnerable, and receptive. And sacredness is all about that. That's why there's a difference between having a spiritual relationship and a sacred relationship. Because a lot of times people are like, you know what, I don't trust, but I'm a spiritual person. So you don't trust anyone, then you are not having sacred relationships with people. Because you have to be fully vulnerable. You have to be accepting. You have to be receiving. And if you don't trust anyone, you're not in the space of recepting. Period. You're not in the space of vulnerability. Period. You're just not. And I hate to come off so harshly, but it is what it is. And this moment is a sacred moment because it literally is what it is. There's no deflection. There's no justification. There's no excuse. It just is what it is. There's no way around that. Okay. So it means dropping resistance whatever something comes up in your relationship. Like, you don't want to fight everything. You don't have to like it, and you don't have to be on board with it, but you are standing in the space of understanding, and you know that nothing can appear in your real existence without you inviting it in. And that's the whole point of the 3 W's. You invite other people into your relationship when you start to share things that are supposed to be sacred between you and your partner. And you can't get mad when things happen that are not so great for you and your partner, because you invite the enemy in, the frenemy in, whatever you want to call them, you invite it in on your own. And when you tell people, to mind their business after you already opened that door, it's kind of like, it's the hypocrisy for me. It's the hypocrisy. Because not only were they in a relationship with you, because you invited them in. So now it's 3 or 4 people in a relationship, maybe 6 or 7, because you couldn't stop running your mouth. You couldn't keep that bond of sacredness between you and your partner. Like I said before, there are ways to share without oversharing. If you're in danger, if you are, concerned or feel like you are in danger, that's a whole different story. We're not talking about that today, because there's no cap on that. Share when you can, get out, do what you have to do to protect yourself and your family, period. Point blank, period. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. And I want to be absolutely clear. Okay? So sacredness arises when you get curious about patterns, energies, emotions, thoughts, and experiences that show up when you bond to another being. And it definitely leads you to understanding yourself in a deeper way. Because, to me, I always feel like that if I really love someone, when we're on a break, I have a Venus in Gemini. Well, some people might say it's a toxic placement, but we're not going to even talk about that today. Say that for another day. But I always figure when I'm on a break from someone, and I'm on the outside looking, reevaluating, I have a better appreciation for what that person brought sometimes, because I'm reflecting and I'm figuring out where I may have went wrong, or what I could do better next time, or in the next relationship if I decide to have one, or even if I'm in a relationship with them, I still reevaluate and think like, what, this person is probably coming from this space, and I'll talk to them about it. Like, is this what you meant? Or tell me how you feel. Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me what you want to do. What you need me to do to help you feel more secure, or in this sacred space that we share together. Because if not, I feel like I open the door. Personally, I feel like I'm opening the door for other people to come in and share that space with my partner, and we can't have that. Okay, we can't have that. That's a no. And unfortunately, you live and you learn, because sometimes you create the space where you open up the door for people to come in, and sometimes they even move you up out of your spot. Hey, we're talking about it is what it is today, right? So remembering that sacredness in a relationship doesn't come from feeling good. Okay, it comes from, excuse me, it comes from the fact that a relationship is a reflection of you. It's a complete reflection of you. It really is. Like I said, if you're toxic, or you're not healed, or you're always criticizing other people, your relationship with people is going to look that way. It's not going to be like, people are not going to be happy to talk to you. They're not going to be happy to, be around you, or enjoy intimate moments with you. Even outside of like a monogamous relationship or polygyny, whatever you like to do, it's always going to, you're always going to bring that energy with you. So you have to be mindful of that. Okay. That relationships are a reflection of who you are. It reflects your own embodiment of sacredness. Okay. So when you embody sacredness, you see wholeness. That's why we use like the yin and the yang uh, symbol on our divine intervention. Because it represents the divine feminine, divine masculine energies, and it's the circle, it's the whole completeness, the oneness. Like 10 of coins or something like that. That's or the world card. Completion. All those things are about completion. Okay. Empress, that's about completion. Earth, wind, fire, water. Empress. Um, so that's another thing that's about completion, that wholeness, that sacredity, synchronicity. It's all about that, embodying that experience. Okay. So you see the wholeness, you see love, fulfillment, and completion. And you begin to embody those things within your own self. And you can identify separation, limitation, competition, and contempt when you're embodying separation. Period. When you're embodying these things, you see all that shit. just look around social media, especially like one of the apps I use is Clubhouse. If you pay attention, it seems like everybody can identify separation on the app. They can all identify it. But when you talk about wholeness and being, it's only in the likeness of selfishness. It's not in the likeness of unity. It's not in the likeness of being purposeful and coming together to support other people. It's in the likeness of coming together to support one person or a set group of people. And that's all we talk about. When you identify with separation, it limits you. You compete with others, and you feel like that attitude of contempt. And not just social media. I just use that as an example, because you can say the same thing for Facebook. You can say the same thing for YouTube, or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm just sharing my experience. So when you identify certain things, it's easy to see it. Period. Now you see it through the eyes of what you are. The more committed you are to sustaining your interconnectivity to sacredness, the more you'll attract sacredness in your relationships. The more your love grows. So love will manifest in abundance in your existence with very simple equation. Okay? Now, for the people that are looking for sacred relationships but can't quote unquote find one, they are looking through the eyes of separation. They are separating themselves from the sacredness. They are pulling themselves apart from it. They feel like they are not connected to it. That's why they can't connect to it. I can't find me a husband. When you say I can't find you a husband, you're not going to find one. I can't find me a wife. When you say that, you're not going to find one. I'm not ready for a relationship. When you say that, you're not going to be ready for a relationship. I don't want a relationship right now. When you say that, you're not going to have one right now. It's all about how you limit yourself. Okay? And all those other things that we talked about. Okay? The concepts that you're putting on yourself. Okay? The labels. All those other things. So when you realize that sacredness is within you, a deeper level of relationship that comes, from within, you begin to live from that point. It's like that starting pulse point, okay, of sacredness. And it becomes easier to see that everything in your environment is a perfect, well, you don't want to say perfect, reflection of who you are. Now, with that being said, let me come back to my phone to see if anyone is anywhere they want to share or anything like that. And we can move on from there, and I'll check out everything. And no, so let me look on Spoon. Nobody wants to share today. Hey y'all, hey on Spoon. My Spoon casters are always tuning in. Hey Brent, how you doing? Long time no see. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you so much. Don't forget to share. Yeah, don't forget to check us. Okay, so we wrapped it up. That's all I had to offer today for the 3 W's of relationship sharing. So let me just go down the list real quick of keeping your relationship sacred. The first one is what. That's the first W. Is what. Ask yourself this question: is what you're sharing going to elevate your relationship in any way? The second one is why. Is why you're sharing it. Does the need to share this information has a purpose of bettering or is it just your simple frustration? Try going to your partner with your frustrations first. That's the second one is why. And the third one is who you're sharing it with. Can you trust this person? Do they have a track record of being neutral or one of being surprisingly pessimistic? Be mindful of who you share with. With that being said, I'm Empress Coach Rena Nicole of RenaNicole.com, the Love Experiences, Divine Intervention Show and Podcast. I lost my train of thought. Sorry about that. RenaNicole.com, TheCurve.net, and Sankofa's Naturals. Now, guess what, friends? We are so live on Spotify. We are live on Spotify now. We're live on Anchor, YouTube, Clubhouse, StreamYard, Facebook, and Twitter. And of course, don't forget our other drop-in audio app, which is Spooncast. So I'll check it out every single day at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. With our AM inspiration to wake that ass up. Peace, y'all.